All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to YYC Business Speaks. Today, we have Rob Bassett with Motive Safety. Hey, Rob.
Hello.
How is it going?
That's a wonderful day. How are you?
It's great. Super snowy out. Hey,
Mm-hmm.
crazy. It left my car outside for like an hour, and I had to scrape it off, and it was really annoying.
You know what?
But
It's wonderful because the perspective is it's days like this that help us enjoy the heat in the summertime.
that's so true. Yeah, it gives us something to contrast. Cool. Let's get into it. So, tell me a bit about your business, Rob.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you asking and the opportunity to be on your show today. So, Motive Safety is an occupational health and safety consulting business, and we supply the health and safety, the information, the products that go with your program, and the industrial supplies that you also may need to support your business. We are a business that's been around for 15 years now. We're based out of here, Calgary, Alberta, and we service companies in British Columbia, Alberta, and Saskatchewan primarily, particularly companies that actually deal with multiple jurisdictions, whether that's city, provincial, or federal. We like to be able to help them because they have more things that they need to be concerned about and more things they need to comply with when you have different layers of jurisdiction. So.
What are some of the things that they'd need to comply with?
Well, some of my clients are trucking companies and they drive through each of the different jurisdictions, and there may be different rules based on where they are or different things that they need to have in order to drive in each of the different jurisdictions. Also, if they have operations in different areas, how do they comply with the appropriate workers' compensation in those areas? BC and Alberta are very similar in some ways, but they do have a couple of differences. Are you properly set up, registered, and in compliance with the type of work that you're going to be doing there? And we love working with small businesses, traditionally with 5 to 50 workers at their direction, who have a payroll of $5 million and less. In that regard, we have an opportunity to really work with them to improve and enhance their health and safety program. And particularly if they're spending 5% of their payroll towards workers' compensation, Alberta WCB, in almost every case, we've been able to work with them to save some serious dollars. And health and safety is often just seen as an expense, something extra, something that if our people are doing well, we shouldn't need it anyways. Well, unfortunately, that's not where the world is today. Occupational health and safety applies to every business. It just applies a little bit differently based on what you're doing and where you are. So with that, there are many ways we can help a number of different businesses. And I love working with the small businesses, particularly family-run operations where the owners care. And if something doesn't go quite right, it has a big impact on the whole business. Those high value clients of mine are the ones I most enjoy working with.
Very cool. So when you say like the high value clients, what, so you said under 5 million, 50, so, how many employees?
So 50 employees or less, roughly.
Okay, 50 or less. Okay.
And 5 million in payroll and less. And 5% of their payroll going towards WCB. Those 3 fives are an interesting point. Usually companies of that size, the 50 workers or less, if they have a structure for their health and safety program, it may not be and often isn't a full-time person. The issue that we run into in those type of situations is we have health and safety versus production. We have health and safety versus ownership. We have health and safety versus sales. And we're talking about do it safely. Make sure you get it done quickly and safely. And if we don't do it in a healthy and safe manner, then we cause other problems. We add extra expense to the bottom line, and we're not nearly as efficient as the way we could be, or we end up losing work or product. And health and safety really boils down to anything that can negatively affect you as the ownership, your staff and management, your frontline workforce, the volunteers who work with you, if you so happen to have those,
Mm.
the public who could be exposed to the work that you're doing, the product that you're producing, or the environment in which you're dealing with. Any of those may have the opportunity to experience a loss or damage. Now, which part of your business does that not touch?
Is that a question or is
It
that
could
like,
be. And for our viewers, they may have an answer already. In almost
okay.
every part of health and safety, it becomes integrated with what you're doing. If you have production and an incident where product is lost, now you have to remake that product, and there's an extreme expense to remaking that product because you have to carry the cost of making it in the first place and then the second time. If
Hmm.
you have injured workers that are not working as productively, then there's an efficiency that you have to go on there. Either way, you're looking at the health of the business, the financial health of the business, the environment in which you're working, or the ability for you and your workforce to stay productive. And at the end of the day, why trade the heartbeats that you and your workforce have for dollars in a paycheck that you may or may not be able to spend, or spend it the way you want to? Don't have an accident at work that allows you to, forfeit that next 2 weeks paycheck. If we knew that we were going to forfeit that next 2 weeks paycheck, we would probably all be doing something else. So let's not have that happen by accident. And at Motive Safety, we love working with our clients to create healthy workplaces to work safely, and healthy workplaces that actually work.
Right. That's interesting. Yeah. Like I gotta say, like, that's definitely not the first thing I think about, when I walk into a business or, back when I was working and stuff. And I know I saw a lot of people having to take WCB and whatnot. And as much as I've seen it so often, it's not even something that I thought about as something to mitigate, or, it's hiring you or someone like you to be able to give advice on
Yeah.
that side of the business. So that's cool.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. What's the greatest impact the pandemic has had on your business?
The greatest impact that COVID-19 has had on our business is that it has shifted the mindset of some of our clients and customers to the point that more people than ever are caring about the health and safety of their family, their friends, their workforce, or the people who may live at the places in which they work. So it has broadened the sense of community for them, and realized what they do has an impact on those around them.
Hmm.
Now, that being said, some people have taken caring for their own health and safety, tongue in cheek, a little bit farther than most people seem rational or understanding. And that happens. And that happens whether you're dealing with legislation, whether we're dealing with this pandemic or not. Some people have the opportunity to take things a lot farther than seem reasonable or rational. And that's one of the ways that we can actually work with the workforce to help them understand what's appropriate, what's applicable, what works, what makes sense in this particular situation. How does the legislation apply? And how do you get your job done? Because if we just bubble wrap the job and it doesn't get done, well, there's no point in having health and safety. And if we're going to do something that's just going to cause harm, there's no point in doing the job. So there is a fine balance between them.
Very interesting to think about, for sure. So what are 1 or 2 actions that you've taken that have made a difference along the way in this past year?
Well, the first action that we have taken is early on, we made sure to solidify the long-standing relationships for the vendor supply contracts that we had to be able to acquire the personal protective equipment that has been needed in numerous ways. We had the opportunity to work with the Alberta Motor Transport Association when it came time to supply transport companies with those packages that you'd find at the scales, the gloves and the masks and the hand sanitizer. We were a very large supplier and supporter of the AMTA when it came to something like that. A number of clients chose to take on the packages that we put together early on to make sure that people had what they needed before they needed it, and had that set up appropriately. And from there, different webinars, conversations, and one-on-one information sessions where we can really help to make sure that what they need is set up for themselves and for their companies. So they're doing things in the right way. They're helping to make sure that they comply with either Alberta Health Services legislation or public health, whatever they're subject to. And then from there, as the year has gone on, more and more clients have seen the value in what we have to offer and what the emerging industry of safety professionals has to offer. And so they have engaged in longer term opportunities, the stability of knowing that you have somebody at your back. When you have questions, it's not going to cost you to pick up the phone because we're already in partnership and working together. And on a long-term project, we know that over the course of the year, certain things are going to get accomplished. And if you have an emergent situation, pick up the phone because we're here, we're at your service. And as a contracted safety officer, you have the priority service. And that's one of the things that has really taken off for our clients and has proven very beneficial for them. And it's created stability for us.
Yeah, win-win, right?
Absolutely.
It's always the best game. All right, next question. It's been said that smart people learn from their mistakes, but wise people learn from the mistakes of others. So what's one or two mistakes that you've made along the way, and how can other entrepreneurs learn from them?
Wow, and thank you for asking. Well, the first thing that comes to mind here is that, all of our parents have those kind of sayings that we hope we don't repeat once we're older. And of course, the one of my mom's was, we can't live long enough to make all of our own mistakes. So take advantage of that. And I've had the amazing opportunity to go through the School of Hard Knocks in some cases where they don't teach things in school, whether that's university or college or high school. And what I'd say to summarize that is the relationships in which you work with. When you get into business with somebody, make sure that you have things set up appropriately and applicably while things are copacetic between you. When you like what's going on and both of you are happy with what you need, that's the easiest time to resolve a potential future issue. Not that we're creating the issues for the future, but how would you go about it in this particular situation? Or business partner or contract supplier? What would happen if we got into this type of a situation? And those type of conversations up front that are applicable to you and your business really do make a big difference down the road. They're not necessarily easy conversations. And I don't think I've ever met somebody who's wanted to have those conversations, even if they say so up front. It does take something to have those conversations. That being said, form a team that works for you, where you have the appropriate advisors. Now, whether you have a board of advisors, formally or informally, have that group of people that you get to be able to have that sounding board with. And when the time comes, be open to taking their advice. That's why you've got them there. Now, if you just want to hear your voice back from them, by all means, make sure that they're telling you what you want and craft the conversation in such a way that they have no choice but to give you your own opinion back to you. However, if you're really, truly looking for something beneficial, be open to the coaching. Invite people who you know have an experience in a world different than yours and are going to give you the straight truth about what's going on. What that'll create for you is the opportunity to have a conversation to surpass critical thinking. When the ship is sideways and the waves are coming at you the wrong way, oh man, that is an awful world to have to deal with. Now, if you can prevent that or have the appropriate guidance to correct the ship at the right time, that is worth every penny that you're not spending and every penny that you hope to not spend.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, inevitably, if you work with someone long enough, you're going to come across a conversation that might not go so well, or you might consider to be a difficult conversation. And if you create a relationship before that to be able to have the space of having that conversation and having it effectively, quite frankly, would make a big difference. Absolutely. I love that lesson. Your mother's a smart woman.
Thank you.
Okay, so where can people find you? And is there anything that you'd like to offer our viewers?
Yes, and thank you for asking. So motivesafety.com is our website. And Rob at Motive Safety is how you'll find me, whether on LinkedIn or on Facebook, any of the other social media platforms that are out there. I'm Rob at Motive Safety. And we'd like to offer something to the viewers. So for the first 3 people who come forward and request an overview of their policies and procedures and a site inspection, if that works for you, we will conduct a virtual site inspection over Zoom where you have the chance to walk around, show us what you're concerned with and what you're looking at. Because in this day and age, getting on site can be a little prohibitive. And then it also opens up. So it doesn't really matter where you are. We can have that conversation about what we see from a different set of eyes. And for your high-level procedural overviews, we'd love to have that conversation with you. It's an hour-long conversation. It's worth whatever you want to put the value onto it. Most people would pay roughly around $100 for the value of this type of service. And we can make it invaluable if you really, truly bring an open, honest opinion and your real concerns to the conversation. We'd love to have a conversation with you. Now, if you're not one of the first 3 in, we've got a consolation. If you're part of the first 10 people, then we will have a draw for the next 3. With that, we'd love to have a conversation with you, regardless about how we can assist you and your business to create a workplace that works safely.
Awesome. So that's a generous offer of you, Rob. So it's motivesafety.com or rob at motivesafety.com?
That's correct. Yes.
Okay, awesome. So if you want to take Rob up on that offer, send him an email, contact him off his website, mention this interview, and he'll hook you up with that. One last question, Rob. Tell me, what is most inspiring to you today?
Oh, well, thank you for asking. Most inspiring for me is working with and assisting others in my community. The chance to have them fulfill on their dreams, and in the business world where they have put so much on the line for themselves and their family, and they hold the liabilities and you know, the paychecks and what it takes to make life happen for so many people in their business and in their communities. When we can assist them to fulfill on what's important to them, that really fulfills us, helping them to create what it is that they're up to.
Yeah, serving others, seeing
Absolutely.
what they even need.
And we're fulfilled in doing that. We work with a couple of nonprofit organizations for the similar services, and we love to see that the community has the opportunity to be a safer, more effective community without stopping them from doing everything. How do we actually get the job done, whatever the job may be? That's important to us.
Yeah, awesome. I love it. Okay, so we have Rob at motivesafety.com, or you can find him at motivesafety.com. And that is end of our show today. Rob, thanks for joining us and enlightening us about safety in the workplace and how people can reduce their costs, or, you know, even have a conversation with you to see what they might need. Absolutely.
There are so many ways that we can assist. Or if you have somebody in your network that you've been resisting connecting with, you never know what that conversation is going to have. If you think you need help, reach out. If that happens to be to us, to Motive Safety, or to Julia, please be sure to do so. Thank you so much for having us on your show today, Julia. It was really a pleasure.
Perfect. Thanks, Rob. Bye.
Have a wonderful day.
You too.